Paris, 1941. I never wanted to be there. The heavy air of the occupied city, the silent and wary streets, the glances filled with hatred and fear. For the other soldiers, Paris was a conquered trophy. For me, it was just another city where war turned us into monsters. The first time I saw her, I didn't know it would change everything. The cafe door creaked as it opened, and the scent of freshly brewed coffee mixed with cheap tobacco and the muffled voices of the customers. Café Le Cygne was small, one of those places desperately clinging to any remnants of normalcy. But normalcy no longer existed. I stepped inside, and that was when I saw her. She stood behind the counter, wiping a cup with automatic movements. Dark hair, carelessly tied back, and eyes that seemed to see beyond the surface. Unlike the other women who lowered their heads in our presence, she held my gaze. It wasn't curiosity or fear. It was defiance. The French waitress with the fierce eyes. I sat at a secluded table. She approached, holding her notepad as if it were a weapon. "What would you like, sir?" Her voice was firm but cold. I knew it wasn't a special treatment. I was the enemy, and she didn't hide it. "Just a coffee. In your name." She hesitated for a second. She hadn't expected me to ask. Elise. Elise. The name suited her. Simple, direct. No embellishments. "And you, sir?" "Richter. Johann Richter." She nodded, writing down the order without another word. But something in that gaze stayed with me. I should have forgotten that interaction. But that night, as I reviewed reports in my quarters, I was still thinking about her eyes. There was something there, something that made me want to understand who Elise Dubois really was. And fate, or war, would give me that answer sooner than I expected. The next morning, we returned to the cafe. The superiors suspected that the resistance was using the place as a meeting point. Elise was there, serving customers with the same impassive expression. I watched her while listening to the conversation of a soldier beside me. "We've discovered a resistance group operating in this area," he murmured. "Interrogations start tomorrow." I saw it then. Elise, on the other side of the counter, froze for an instant. It was a subtle moment, imperceptible to most, but not to me. She knew something. Our eyes met. This time, she was the first to look away. And in that instant, I knew Elise Dubois had secrets. The question was, what would I do with that knowledge? That night, something inside me stopped me from handing over the list of suspects to my superiors. When I saw the name Dubois among the targets, I hesitated. I shouldn't have hesitated. I shouldn't have folded the paper and slipped it into my pocket, hiding it from my fellow soldiers. But I did. And unknowingly, in that moment, I signed my own sentence. Because this war did not forgive those who dare to choose their heart over their duty. And Elise Dubois would be my downfall. To be continued. In the next episode, Elise must warn her allies about the imminent interrogations. Johann begins to realize that his loyalty is being tested. But how far is he willing to go for a woman who might be his enemy?